has a punchline.
What you talking about?
Likutei
Sichos?
affects your avodas Hashem and your daily life.
You're talking about Likutei Sichos, yes?
Yes. That's very different than a Devar Torah that you're going to hear from many Rabbanim, or that you're going to read. It's a nice word that picks apart, some gematria of a word, but it doesn't have a practical, this is what you take away from it. And in learning the Rebbe Sichos, I always see that he draws down the practical level, something to learn from it.
Right.
And in your avoda.
Right. And you can understand why that didn't really interest Rabbi Soloveitchik, because that's not the way the Brisker mind thinks. The Brisker mind is enthralled with the concept.
So I davened in a shul with the Rosh Yeshiva, who was the Rav of the shul, who was a Rosh Yeshiva, who Mamash was a Brisker in his thinking process, despite his strymel, and what he would take something from Rashi, something from the Pasuk, and he'd go to the Rambam, and then take a steer in the Rambam, and come to some resolution of the steer in the Rambam based on Rashi, and it's okay, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
So very deep.
Yeah.
What does it deal with me in my daily life, in my avodas Hashem, and how I relate to other people?
Yeah. It's Go ahead. Yeah.
Was that the idea of Chayenu?
No, Chayenu is a recent publication to make it accessible to English speakers, and it's done in a fascinating way. They're always adding more and more. But Chayenu, I would say, is more of a practicality. So it has Maimorim, Sichos, letters, stories, halacha. Here we're talking about the Rebbe's own writings, and the novelty of our Rebbe, the last Rebbe of Lubavitch, the Rebbe, is the Likutei Sichos. The 6 Rabbeim from the Alter Rebbe through the Frierdiker Rebbe, they all said Maimorim. Even if you look at the Sichos of the previous Rebbe, which I really encourage you to read, because it's kind of the history of Chabad, and that's very important. But the Rebbe is unique. He's taking the Torah, Parshias, with Rashis, and as Isser says, and then there's a takeaway, a bottom line that's unique. That's unique.
Because you were saying about how other people that are not necessarily born into Chabad, so they've taken on these things. I'm telling you, all over Israel, ask Moshe, ask Elliot, everyone is walking around with the Chayenu. Not people with beards and hats and a reckle. People love it.
Okay.
People love it.
But Chayenu is for English speakers.
I understand, but we're living in Ramat Beit Shemesh, the 6th town.
I'm not. What?
I think Yoni means when you mean Chayenu, you also, I think what you're talking about is the Devar Malchus, the all Hebrew.
Correct.
Yeah. So okay, fine. That's a publication. But I'm not putting down the public. I'm saying that within the publication there's Likutei Sichos. I'm talking about the virtue of what is Likutei Sichos. It's not a contradiction. Those Chayenu and Dvar Malchus has so much more than Likutei Sichos. The Dvar Malchus has the Daf HaYomi, I believe, as well. It's not a contradiction. It's just a... Yes, then people are not walking around with Likutei Sichos as much as they walk around with Chayenu. I agree with you. Yes.
Yeah, I think I want to just say that I was speaking with my son-in-law because Isser and I were planned to go to Tzama Monday night, but because Isser had to go to Detroit, so his ticket became available. So I actually invited my son-in-law to come with me, and he said, yeah, I'd like to come with. So after the concert and everything, we were walking through the Svarm sale in Binyanei Oma. It's huge.
Right. Yeah.
And he said to me, wow, like there's all types of people here, Litvish, and it was interesting. There were a lot of what I call like Bachrim, Litvish Bachrim people. I mean, really, really all types. And I said to him, today it's like you have people who are really Litvish guys who are coming out and saying that they have chavrusas in Tanya. And I said to him, I said, when I first started, after I had become observant and when I really started getting connected, more to Lubavitch and slowly, I said there was a certain point, this would be in like the 90s, I would say, even into like, 2000 and plus. I said, all my like Litvisha type friends, like I got a lot of pushback. I got a lot of pushback then, but not now. Now I think it's the opposite.
Yeah, there's been a great change, especially in Eretz Yisrael. This organ, what Moshe Shilat was behind this Tzama, what they've created. I was telling my chaverim on our group chat because they're not as aware as I am. I've seen it up close because I frequent Eretz Yisrael over the years. Has really made a change in what you're saying. It's made a real change, I'm not going to go say that hardcore Panovich or Lakewooders are behind that, but it's much more open, and
Yeah, my nephew is in the mirror, and he says that there's a huge chabura of guys learning Tanya.
Yeah.
Tanya every day.
Yeah. And in fact, there's a boy here who's in the mirrors going back Motzei Shabbos, and he's from a Chabad family, and they have an entire 2-3 times a week at a shul near Mir where they have shiurim and Chassidus. But one of the points I said at this Farbrengen, I'm going to send you, Issa said I didn't send out Farbrengen in Cleveland. I spoke about friction. Rabbi Soloveitchik, he opened my eyes to this idea when I researched him. Rabbi Soloveitchik believed that without friction in Torah, you're not getting the essence of Torah. The whole brisk approach is the friction. What's friction? To really see the steers, the contradictions. Like Issa said, this Rambam, that Rambam, and then to really get into it. So too in life, friction ultimately can be used and should be used in a healthy way, where that's where you kind of settle, this is who I am, this is what I want to be, etc. And this is we could say, Moshe, like this, that the friction that you experienced in the 1990s and 2000s, the pushback, led to the kind of situation now where there's less friction and more acceptance. You see, we could look at the differences between the Rebbe and Rabbi Shach and Rabbi Kotler and all of those things, which, that's what I've studied and written about. There's not more, I don't have more friction to write about. I've written about everything. Like it's all been said, right? I gotta now find new friction. And there isn't really.
Last night there was in the Crown Heights by the Satmar, what do you call it last night? The Satmar get together, the yard site.
Yeah, but what's the friction?
What are they?
Yeah, the Yom HaGi'ula, but what was the friction? What was the friction?
mean, there was Ben Landa was there, and they threw him out. It was the whole thing.
Okay, but that has nothing to do with Lubavitch. I'm talking about with Chabad.
No, nothing to do about it.
No.
Nothing to do with it.
So in a way, Moshe, it's like I miss the friction. In other words, the friction really gets you to move. You got to make a decision. Who am I? Where do I want to be? When things are very complacent and nice, there's no movement. Generally, there's no movement. You're a nice boy, you're a nice girl, you're doing well, you're the best. Oh. So, and we talk about the 60s and 70s, right? Like the whole counterculture revolution, and that's what the Rebbe saw. The Rebbe saw this as an opportunity for tshuva, and then the 6-Day War, the Baal Tshuva movement, an upheaval. When there's an upheaval, there's movement. When there's no upheaval, is okay. So, as much as we talk about what you're saying, and as I said, it's real. You're right. It's real. But know that there's still another step. There's another step where, in other words, to jump over, it takes a challenge. If there isn't a challenge, then you're not really jumping over. You just gradually, a little step. Okay, and some people get to the higher step, and many people don't. And that's what I'm finding within Chabad as well. I mean, over the last, since Gimel Tammuz, 30 plus years now, this is a challenge where, because the Rebbe is not here but Gashmias to kind of say, do this now, new campaigns and new issues, which caused alarm inside Chabad, outside Chabad, and things were shaking and moving. So when things are shaking and moving, people move. But when everything is like complacent, yeah, it's nice. There's less movement, and this is, I think, an overall issue. So what I'm saying is there's pluses and minuses to the feelings that you said about now compared to your time of acceptance of Chassidus. I'm saying I understand it, I see it, it's good. At the same time, I would like to see a little more friction. Friction doesn't, by the way, friction doesn't mean you're a jerk and you're bad, but just your movement, let's really get into it, so that's how people make moves. What do you say about that?
I think that it. I totally hear that. And as you were speaking, I was thinking how one of the things I think that's changed since then is the amount of Inreach that is needed. And I think that is what is the situation today within the community.
Yeah.
Is in some ways very different from 30 since
right.
Thomas.
Right.
Very good point.
Yeah,
Very good
that is a very good point. And that's what I saw in Cleveland. This was a Farbrengen sponsored by 4 Chabad shuls, Anash, the younger ones, and this issue is the issue. What you're identifying, the Inreach, So that's a very good point, and that is true. And if leadership in every community, in every group, will allow...
Sorry, I don't understand what you mean by Inreach.
What
So it's talking about within Chabad, not going outside and doing, not the shlichus part.
Right.
Within the people, you have a lot of kids going off the derech, and there's other issues in Chabad that they didn't have so many years ago, and it has a lot to do with that. There's no Rebbe today. It's one of the reasons. I think it's one of the reasons. I don't think it's the only reason.
Yeah.
I think that there's many reasons, because everyone's having it. It's not just a Chabad issue.
Right.
Everybody's having this issue. But I think with Chabad, because they're so good at the outreach, The Inreach is something that's really neglected.
Yeah, he makes a very, very good point. Moshe, you're saying the same thing, right?
Yeah, 100%. But Isser, do you understand that? Do you understand what we're saying? Isser?
Yeah, I think so. I understand now.
And
Okay.
But like Yanni said, it's not just in Chabad. I think it's in every community today. It's in every community. The Inreach, the Gedolim, the Tzaddikim, the big Rebbes, it's finished. They've gone on. Okay? They're good people and holy people, but this era of 1900 to 2000 is over as far as that level of holiness and sitkis and godless. Listen, God willing, it'll come back. We'll have a new generation of, but so the focus has shifted. Should to the okay. Now we have Baruch Hashem, so many shuls, so many yeshivas, so many girls' schools. No, what's going on inside? And Dafka now, like Yoni said, what are we finding? The OTD. I spoke about that at the Farbrengen. OTD and this and that, and like I always go back to what Moshe told me when I came to Ramat Beit Shemesh the first time. He told me this: people are stale, and he was talking about his own shul, Eish Kodesh. I remember he said that great people, but there's a lot of people that are stale. So that's Inreach. How do you get the excitement to people who became Bali Tshuva and FFBs who are also just, stale? How do you get them to be excited and to be new and fresh? And how do you communicate that to our kids and grandkids? And that's the issue. That's the issue that we're all confronted with. And hopefully, more and more people and organizations are dedicating themselves to this approach. I think they are. So whether it's Tzama or whether it's another group, I think they are. Chevra, everyone should have a great Shabbos. We'll see everyone next week. It's a shame. And we'll start learning again the Maimer. Zaygesund, great Shabbos. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.